Okay, so Rachel, I'll ask you to introduce yourself, how you got started in business and why, like why your specific business.
I'll start with my why. I decided to get into business because as a marketing coach, a copywriter, speaker, teacher, I went to become a millennial. So I do all of the things and I love being able to do all of the things. I realized that for a lot of people, they get into business and they're really, really great at their one skill set. Maybe that's designing websites, being a designer, maybe it's being a copywriter, and that they can really serve a lot of their clients and community in that way. However, because I also have a business background, I recognize how complex it is running a business. Like we see on the internet, it's so easy, just roll
Yeah.
out of bed one day and make money. Oh my God, I wish it was that simple. And I sort of saw early on in not only my career and all the things I was doing, but also in business, that so many of us are prevented from truly using our skill set, our life experiences to do good, to serve, because of our lack of understanding of business. Like, who put their hand up one day and said, I want to start a business? We normally want to just to serve our clients. And that seemed like the best way or the most aligned way for us. So I was like, no, people like me, my clients, deserve marketing, business, copy support just as much as an agency or a larger corporation, yet they deny that in so many aspects due to lack of resources, money, time, etc. I just see so many of my clients' community, peers, stopping their business simply because they don't have those skill sets and they burn out through trying to do those skill sets, acquire those skill sets. And yes, you do need them, but you're not meant to do this business thing alone. And my skill sets can be of service to so many others. So I was like, why don't I start a business doing what I love and what I feel so passionate about, but make sure it's accessible to other people like me, because we've got enough corporations, not-for-profits, etc. in the world. They run the world. And I think it's about time that individuals and community kind of take back that power. So that's why I started. And then, from there, I realized like, hey, I'm kind of good at doing this whole business thing. I've been doing it for 12 years. I like doing this business thing, even on the worst days when I'm crying, into my pot noodle. And I'm like, why am I doing this? I realize that this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I've made so many choices that get me here. And then every day I'm presented with other opportunities to do something else. Yet I choose to do this. I choose this because I truly, like I said, care about what I do and think we can make the world a better place, for, lack of a better saying, through our work, but we need to support each other to do that.
Excellent. Awesome. And so your business, what it looks like now, has that evolved from from when you started? What did that journey look like for you?
Definitely. So I started with what I call a bridging job. You may have heard me talk about it before, or I've got some content that I will be talking about in the future about this. What I did is I took my skill sets, and I was working in not-for-profit sector at the time. So I was a marketing and communications manager for NGOs. And I was like, right, I want to start my business. I want to slowly phase into, running a business full time. So instead of just quitting my day job, which again is recommended, I don't recommend that. Money and security are lovely things. I created what I call a bridging job for myself. So I started consulting for the last 6 months to 12 months of my full-time job. I went down to 4 days a week instead of 5, and I started consulting with other businesses, organizations in the sector doing essentially the same things that I was already doing, like media releases, writing website copy, creating social media posts, doing strategies, doing training. And then from that, I figured out, do I actually want to do this thing? Like, is it, the grass is greener? Like, is it actually better on the other side? It was obviously still here for me anyway. And it also allowed me to build a name for myself, to get, those things like we say, case studies, testimonials. It also allowed me to figure out my processes and my systems, what I had to offer. And it also gave me income. So I was getting, in a sense, dual income. Yes, it was hard. Yes, I was spending a lot of time working, but I was getting that dual income. So when I decided to leave my corporate job, I had a bunch of clients, everything that I needed to start. I had, my business name registered, I had a website, I had all of these things. And I had, a nice 6 to 9 month buffer of income that I could use. And so from there, I started working with more NGOs, more clients. And then I slowly started pivoting to more health and education organizations as a consultant. So universities, hospitals, etc., doing interviews. I also did a lot of journalism type roles because I have a background in journalism. So freelance writing, and really just diversified my income streams. Again, what I was doing, getting my name out there. And then I think it was back in 2018, from memory, that I decided to move more into what you see my business now, which is more coaching. I do consult and I do work with 2 to 3 more larger small businesses. So, not solopreneurs, freelancers, a couple of times a year, but I predominantly just work one-on-one with my coaching clients. So it took me a while until I decided to do that, because I was getting asked by so many of my peers, how did you make it work? What are you working on? How did you do this? And so I just started kind of coaching and mentoring without really calling myself that. And then I decided I was done working with corporates and I wanted to work solely with people like us. And so, yeah, I made that transition, and then, did the typical online business thing, did what all of the, gurus, as they call themselves, which is such an inappropriate word to use, followed kind of what they did and still figured my way through it. And then I think it was in 2021 that I flipped my business and overnight closed down all of my successful programs and courses, and went back to just focusing one-on-one coaching.
Interesting.
And only allowing it's not allowing, but only sort of like working with my clients in this way, because again, I realized that's what I wanted to do the most. That's what I loved. And even when I was consulting and do consult, it was me working with the marketing team, me working with the director. It's always been me with like somebody else, like that really intimate relationship. And that's how I love to create. It's how I love to support my clients. So you can see already, in some ways I say I'm in like my 4th or 5th iteration of my business. Yeah. And, I started way back in, I think it was 2014, and I was consulting and, like I said, doing stuff long before that. So yeah, it's been a huge journey, and I just didn't rush it. I just let it come kind of organically and just go with where it felt right.
I love that you said that, like in the journey you went to doing like coaching and doing that, but then really looked at what you preferred to work with, and that was one-on-one. It kind of flies in the face of what we're taught, isn't it? Like you start off one-on-one and then you go to group and then you scale, and it's the complete opposite. So that kind of leads me to my next question. That's more aligned with you, and you talk about business owners having more of an aligned business and a profitable business. So what would you say I was going to say your top 3, but even just one essential, how would you, for a service-based business owner, for them to run an aligned and profitable business, what is your starting point, or how does that look like? I know it's different for each person, but how do you start that? I can't think of the word. How do you start, coaching them for it, like in that way?
I think it's such a great question. You're right. It does look different for each of my clients, because my one-on-one coaching programs, which is one of the reasons why I decided to do it, is that it's tailored for the individual, the person, the human in front of me, the business they want to run, the lifestyle they want to have, their, goals, their dreams, their like passions, their ways of working. It's focused on that. And, to sort of answer your question in a sort of more longer way, and I hope that's okay. The reason why, I moved back to this model is, one, it serves me in the types of work that I want to do for my clients. It really is my skill set. It really does combine things such as like my journalism, copywriting, business management, marketing, like I said, all of those passions in one. And something that I realized quite early on, I was really good at seeing the individual in front of me and working with them to create unique solutions with them based on the resources they had available. And so the thing that I always come back to for my clients, it doesn't matter if you work with me or you just hang out with me, you'll always hear me say, like, who are you? Like, who are you and what do you want to do and what feels good for you? And so I think that is the key, because often when we do group programs and courses, and there's nothing wrong with those, that business model for a lot of people really serves them, and it really serves the market and what clients want, but I know my clients, it doesn't serve them because that part is missing. So no one ever asks them who they truly are. They just get told what worked for, you know, the CEO or the founder or the course creator, and are told to then replicate that. But that doesn't take into account a lot of things like privilege, like I said, access to resources. You know, if you're a new mum and you're running a business part-time, as if you're going to be able to give 50, 60 hours compared to someone else who perhaps, you know, is living at home, who doesn't have to pay rent, who, you know, the only thing they've got going on is their business. There is no right or wrong answer. There's no, you know, great path, but it just doesn't take into those complexities. And so I think for a lot of people, that's what's missing. And no one ever asks them, right? Like well, maybe you have, and if you have, that would make me so happy. But when have you ever been asked, like, who are you and why did you choose to do this? And what makes you, you know, get up each day? Like, why don't you, you know, show up in air quotes in a certain way? Why do you find this hard? Why do you find this good? And not in a judgmental way, but in a way through like being curious and wanting to figure out who you are. Because I never got asked that. Yes, I got told to craft a mission statement, you know, an elevator pitch and to create my messaging. But at no point was I asked who I was, because we're taught, and I've been guilty of this as a marketing coach, to focus solely on the client. Like the client is right. It's all about the client. But if it's not about you too, then I don't know how the equation works out, because I really do see it as an equation. There's you, there's your client, there's the services, and then there's the result on the other end that you're trying to create. And each of those components needs to be defined. You need to work through those. Otherwise, you'll have mismatches. You know, you'll feel burnt out and undervalued in your business, or, you know, your clients won't want to work with you because like, I don't see how you can get me X result. Or you have services, like for me, that were more exhausting than fulfilling, yet everything else in the equation was perfect. So to answer your question, it's that first part, you. And all of my courses and programs, anything I've ever created has always been about that. It just took me a few years to figure out that was like, that was, you know, like the true kind of framework that I was working towards, something I truly care about. And so that's what I would say you need to figure out, because that is the way to build out that equation, to get the aligned, you know, to get the sustainable with your services and your clients, and to get the profit. You can have all three, but only if you're willing to do the work. And I think for a lot of us, we've never been asked to do the work. That work is difficult. We're not sure how to do it. And then we're not sure how to take the knowledge that we find out of ourselves and actually put it back into the business. So that's kind of what I hope my clients do. It's not, you know, making you live through childhood trauma or talking about random stuff that is actually not supportive. Always through a business lens, but you can't remove yourself from your business, particularly a lot of us who are service-based businesses, who solopreneurs, who we got into it through our skill set. To say that we can and just distance ourselves, I think is really undervaluing our work and our expertise. And that's why so many of us are moving away from doing things like courses and stuff, because like I said, it doesn't serve us. It doesn't answer the thing we truly need to know to help us move forward.
Exactly. I love how you frame it as an equation. I think we, like I mentioned before, we get so focused on our client and putting them at the center, we forget about us, and we're an essential part of that equation. And we are our business, aren't we? So I was reading your one of your blogs about self-care, and there was a quote in there about taking care of yourself, because we are our business, and I think we forget that. I forget that all the time. Okay, so you've mentioned this throughout, but just to clarify, how do you help business owners to do this? You have your coaching programs.
Yes. So I have 2 programs. I have my one-on-one coaching program, which is we can focus on 2 to 3 different things in your business for a period of 3 to 6 months. So some people, you know, if they want to launch a course, they want to get really clear on their messaging, they want to start speaking on maybe podcasts more, or they want to really nail down their services and call in those dream clients. So whatever it is, we work together. And like I said, it's really tailored to the individual. So we often cover, like I said, you know, that equation, a lot about them, their business model, mission, you know, how they want to show up, all of those things, ways of working, personality, leadership types. We look at their clients, who they are, what they're after. We do market research. And then we hone in on their services, what services they want to create, how they want to sell those services. You know, do they want to do a launch model? Do they just want to sell consistently? Do they want to do referrals? Do they want to be online? And, you know, and then really look at the results for their business and the results for their clients, and making sure that marries up, because I am seeing a lot of people in the industry like overpromise or like underpromise. There seems to be a really hard thing. And, you know, and pricing is one aspect of sort of, you know, this in the equation, but I feel like a lot of us just focus on really easy things, like tangible things. But a lot of our work, the work that I do with my clients, is focusing on tangible and intangible. Like, you know, they want, say, 10K months, but how they want to feel getting those 10K months, because that to me is just as important. And again, that's a part that's missing. And then I also work with my clients in a smaller way over 6 weeks in an ethical content marketing series. So this is for my clients who want to really focus on their content marketing strategy. So often that's for clients who've just started a business or going through a transition, or realizing that, you know, things like social media are getting them down, burning them out, and they want to look at other ways that they can share their content, that they can connect with their audience, that they can get more visible in a more sustainable way. So some of my clients do both programs, some only do one, depending on where they're at and the level of support that they want. But like I said, altogether, we're kind of focusing on that equation. And like I said, that's how they get that aligned, ethical, you know, sustainable, profitable business. So we always go through the same kind of methods, you know, workbooks, calls, Voxer support. I review content and co-create with you. So I'm like in the Google documents with you and stuff like that. Unlike other programs who just kind of give you things, like we're literally co-creating together. So that can look like helping you write sales copy, naming a podcast, you know, how do you send out those DMs to interact with your clients, everything like that. So it really is like me in your business daily. It really is a partnership. And like I said, that's what I love about the work that I do. And I think that's what my clients find the most supportive, because it's accountability, you know, it's inspiration. I can help them and celebrate the highs, because I think a lot of us don't have anyone who quite gets it. You know, when something happens in business and you're like, oh my God, and everyone's like, oh, that's nice. You're like, no, you don't get it. I'm that person. For a lot of my clients, which I love, that is like the best part of my day, but also the challenges, because sometimes we can feel ashamed or guilty, or like we can't openly share some of the things we've got going on. And so, yeah, it really is a partnership that I don't enter into lightly. So I only have limited coaching spots, and a lot of my clients stay with me. I think it's like now probably 12 months to 2 years, and they come back again and again when they need me, which I love. Like I always hold spots open for my past and current clients. And yeah, I just love being able to work with people long term, and again, build that relationship up, because we're not having to, well, my clients in particular aren't having to always restate who they are, what they're trying to achieve, all those things, and trying to get someone up to speed. Like I literally have clients just message me like, hey, I want to do that thing we said, can I work with you at this time, you know, etc. I was like, yeah, like let's book it in. And I just love that. No fluff, no BS. We just get straight to like the work and the heart of it. And I think that's why my clients have such incredible long-lasting results, and not just quick wins that disappear when I'm gone. They are able to keep building on all of the work that they've done, which is the most important thing to me, because I don't want anyone to become reliant on me. I want to give the support where needed, and allow them to keep building and growing the business. That's what I'm here for.
Awesome. I love it. I can't wait. We've spoken in DMs, and I'm like, I just finished a coaching program and I want to do another one, but I just have to wait. But you're definitely where I'm going next.
Oh, thank you.
I think the one-on-one really attracts me, because I've done everything I've done in the past has been a group program. And yes, they have been small groups, so I appreciated the intimacy of it, but it was still a group program. And I just, I feel like I don't want to bother people with my thing.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but if it's one-on-one, I'm like, I'm paying her to bother her. So and
I think for a lot of my clients, you know, you feel free to share this as well. a lot of them, and maybe it's the type of clients I attract, you know, my approach, the fact that it is a one-on-one coaching program, a lot of my clients don't feel comfortable sharing things in an open forum. You know, there's coaching calls with everyone there. One, because it's like, oh, can I ask that? This is embarrassing. You know, all these people are supposed to be doing good and I'm doing terribly, you know, all of that. But then I have clients, you know, who've just found out they're autistic. So they're navigating a lot of things. I have clients who are like single new mums, you know, all of those kind of things. Do you really want to share that openly?
Yeah.
And I would say for a lot of the time they don't, and I don't want to either. And I feel like in those programs, even if they're small, it's often just you're wanting the coach's time, not really paying attention to anyone else in the room or the Zoom call, and you kind of just sit there and wait for your turn. I just think it's a lot of time wasted that could be better spent and making people feel more comfortable. And, you know, some of my autistic clients, it really isn't suitable to have all of the faces and the moving.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, I have clients with ADHD and stuff like that. You know, clients living with mental illness, and they're, you know, we're complex humans again, and it just sort of strips all of that back and makes them fit into a mold on a coaching call, you know, at 10 a.m. that doesn't suit them. I have some clients that are like, can we just talk at 2 p.m. because I'm the most alert at 2 p.m. If I can, yes. Why wouldn't, and I can do that. I have that flexibility. I can really, as much as I can, obviously that doesn't hurt my boundaries, really support them. And I think a lot of these other programs, there's nothing wrong with them, but you cannot support 20 people in the room to that level of that, you know, I try and do. Not perfect all the time, obviously. But yeah, so it's good that you say that, because I think for a lot of us, these kind of just blanket models, ways of doing, don't really benefit any of us, truly. And when we want to do deep work, which my clients do, it really doesn't serve them.
Yeah. And I think I know for me, when I do deep work, it's not pretty. And you don't, you're like, anger. And yeah. So it's just like, I don't want to do that in a public forum, or, you know, yes, I can have my camera off, but I know that, I don't know. It's just the feeling that there are other people there. So
yeah.
Awesome. Rachel, thank you. I've so enjoyed talking to you. I could talk about this for a long, long time. I got to go and make dinner.
No worries at all.
It's 7 o'clock.